I'm telling you, buy land. Land is so cheap. If you do your research, there are countries where land is even 20 times cheaper than the same acres of land in America. Buy houses. I'm telling you, houses are so cheap compared to prices in America. Houses are even, you'll find African countries that houses are 20 times cheaper than they are in America. Start investing in African businesses. Start investing in something. Invest in something in Africa. Have a plan B, because I'm telling you, when that BRICS currency drops, you'll remember my name, you'll remember my words, but it will be too little, too late.
Africa would rise, because Africa is the only continent currently that is giving every single human being the opportunity to create. All these other continents are already developed. What are you going to create? What are you going to show them? But in Africa, we still have the virgin lands. We still have the manpower. So you want to make it happen? Africa is the place you need to be.
Hey, beautiful people. I just want to talk more about the benefits of moving to Africa, Nigeria specifically, from the United States. I had a video a couple days ago where I was talking about benefits, and I talked about health benefits and the food and things like that. Now I want to talk about like the cost of living. When I was in America, I was paying roughly $1,400 a month, and here in Nigeria, you don't pay monthly, you pay per year. So we paid less than that for the entire year for our home here in Nigeria. And also there's no such thing as credit here. In America, everything's on credit. Credit this, credit that. And here in Nigeria, there is no such thing as credit. If you got money talks. So if you have the money, they don't care if you make 3 times the amount of the rent. They don't care what your credit is. They just want to know that you're going to pay that rent when it's due at the end of the year, or when you've had your 12 months of where you're living. Also, the water bill, I was paying for water in America, which was like $56 a month. Here, it's like 15,000 naira, and it's like every 6 months, and that's less than $10 every 6 months. So we're saving a significant amount of money living here in Nigeria, so you can live a way better life here. But also, I just want to emphasize that that's, if you're making US dollars, but also if you're, if you have a good job, like my husband is a businessman, he's a business owner, and he makes pretty good money, so we're good. But also just, and lights. So Napa, you don't pay for lights. In America, I was paying like $200 a month for electricity. Here you don't pay for it, but you also don't have the same stability in the lights. So the majority of people have generators, which we do, and the cost of gas can get a little bit spendy, but it's still a lot less than what I was paying per month in electricity in America. So those are just some more benefits financial wise. Not only that, like there's markets everywhere. You could just walk outside and get anything and everything that you need. I like that there's a holistic remedy for any type of ailment. So if you have a headache, if you have a stomach ache, if you're suffering from this.
From Kenya with Khalees on her 150 acres, soon to be 300 acres of land. And in the background, you see this is actually a volcano. Very rare, little known fact. So Khalees, where exactly are we at right now?
Okay, so we're in Naivasha. We're right off of Lake Naivasha. And this is Mount Longonot here. Behind this property, on the other side of the mountain, is the National Reserve. This is all privately owned land here. And it's great, yeah, because as you see, all the animals are free and they're running wild, and we're farming, and it's dope. We're building a little community out here.
Yeah, talk to us about the intent, right? We just walked and saw the farm, saw some red onions, some yellow onions. Tell us about what's happening here and what's going to be coming.
Okay, so my plan is to do an all sustainable luxury retreat, like a resort. So along with the farming, doing agriculture, but also having a wellness space so people can come and spot up and relax. We'll have a fine dining restaurant, we'll have bungalows. It's all just about being one with nature, being out here and trying to keep it as part of the ecosystem as possible and just making it all go together. So what I learned in California, I'm bringing here, and I'm learning so much. Like I was telling you, I've learned so much about farming and just how to keep everything sort of as natural and using all the natural resources with the animals and all of it. So it's been great.
So we're going to have the detailed sit-down conversation, but I thought it was important to give people a visual. So on this land, tell exactly what's on this land. You got farming, you got exotic animals, you have, like, what's this all encompass?
Okay, so yeah, we've got farming right now. We're farming onions, and then we've got wildlife. So just working with all of the natural resources. We've got giraffes and zebras and elands and impalas and all kinds of stuff. Sometimes you'll get blessed with an elephant walking through, and the giraffes are hanging out. So it's great because even like the Lake Naivasha, I think like December, January, you'll see it covered with like flamingos, and we get all kinds of owls and ostriches. It's incredible. It's literally like God's country.
We are asking Black Americans and African Americans to come back to Africa, and many people don't know why. Many people would sit down and think we only need. You see, there are many reasons to why we want African Americans to come back to Africa. It is not only for them to come to Africa and change Africa and all that, but we have many reasons. Yeah, we have many reasons because we, as much as we want our brothers and sisters to come back to Africa, we also have many reasons. And one of the best reasons to why we want these people to come back to Africa is because there are also benefits. We've seen how African Americans have been living in the US and all that. We've had stories, it is written in the history, and people have talked about it. We listen to Louis Farrakhan, we listen to Shahid Bolsen, we listen to many people. We've listened to a lot of people. And we can be able to tell that the life has not been that good, the life has not been that better, although some people say we are living better and all that. But me, I'm considering these people. My focus is on these people who have not been able to take good care of them, who do not have jobs, people of low class, people who are struggling so much in the US. Because I know somebody who is living an average life in the United States of America. If he or she can be able to come back to Africa, he can be able to be amongst the first class people who are living in Africa. Because he can look poor. He or she can be able to look poor in America. But once he comes to Africa, he might be able to live better. He might be able to have many good experiences in Africa that he cannot be able to have it in America. Yeah? There are very many things. There are very many advantages and benefits for an African American if they come back to Africa, including owning properties, including owning lands, including owning businesses and all that. And many people don't tell you this. Many people don't speak about this. But me today, I've decided to talk about it so that as you're planning or as you're thinking on what to follow, or if I should stay in America or go back to Africa, you can make that decision after knowing very well and understanding very well that this decision that I've made, it is the right decision, and it is what I have decided I want to do. Yeah. So take a look at these videos of these African Americans and Africans who are explaining some things here, and then I will come back and tell you something a bit about it before I end the video. Take a look at this video.
Bro, I own land. This is what you gotta understand, bro. I own land, okay? And I own a house in West Africa, bro. I'm an owner, bro. At 22 years old, bro, I own land and I owned a house in West Africa, bro. At 22 years old. I don't know another 22-year-old, bro, who owns a house, bro, or owns land anywhere. I don't know a 22-year-old who owns property, okay? Like, I'm starting to do more research and learning more about real estate now because I own land and I own property. Comment the word travel. I'm going to send you a direct, personalized digital travel guide. Literally $2.50.
I invited you today because I want us to give some insights to African nurses from Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria. We have so many nurses who are in the process of coming to America. And currently, actually, we have an NCLEX center in Kenya. Did you know that?
I did see that. I saw it on the news.
I told you. You didn't see it on the
I saw it
news.
before you told me.
Really?
You know, I follow stuff. I ain't never been, but I follow stuff that's going on.
Can you just admit that I said it to you on the camera for the sake? We men. I wanted to be like, I'm the one who is telling you Kenyan news. You cannot be seeing Kenyan news before I tell you.
Honestly, if you're in Kenya, you are so lucky. You have an NCLEX center in your own country.
I know.
That's crazy.
They're so lucky. It used to be very expensive going to South Africa, so these guys are lucky. Anyways, we want to give you some insight to the immigrants, nurses who are going to be coming from Africa, be it Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, whatever country you're coming from, Africa to America. How long you been traveling?
Maybe like 3 years. 3 years total. Traveling.
There's so much money in travel, that's why you do it?
Oh my God. You know, I mean, I didn't go to school for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just to take care of people, I could just go into a place and do it for free. But for me, I gotta make my money.
So you're basically saying you got into nursing to just make money? You're not passionate about it?
I'm very passionate about it, but you know all the computer stuff you gotta do, nobody wants to do that.
But you want the money?
Of course. I gotta pay for my Netflix subscription. You know, I need money. Netflix is expensive, man.
This guy has investments in Africa. How have you been able to do that? I saw you with a big mansion in Africa. I'm not gonna necessarily mention in which country, but I also know that you're in the process of investing in Kenya too.
Yes. I will say how I've been able to do that is really with the travel. Like I said, staying away from staff position. You make the hospital so much money. The hospitals have become rich off of your back.
I know.
You know? So when you go towards more of being an independent contractor or being a traveler, a lot of that extra money that the hospitals were making goes to you. That allows you to be able to have like more disposable income. So a lot of
things I wish I knew as a Black American purchasing a home in South Africa. First of all, I wish I knew it was easier to purchase a home for me personally with my budget and resources in South Africa than it is in America. With that being said, I wish I also knew that you could get your house financed for up to 50% of the cost of your home, including the closing costs. Not all estates are created equal. There are some estates with 2 or 3 grocery stores. There are some estates with no grocery store. And so you want to pay attention to the specific estates.
All right, welcome back again. Thank you for watching. Now, do you know, as an African American, if you come to Africa, you can be able to own land? Do you know when you come to Africa, you can be able to own houses? It doesn't matter how many houses you want to own. 1 house, 2 houses, 3 houses, 4 houses, 5 houses, 6 houses, 7 houses, 8 houses, 20 houses, 30 houses, 50 houses. Do you know you can be able to own those houses? Do you know you can be able to own more than 1 land, 2 lands, 3 lands, 4 lands, 5 lands, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80? You can be able to own as much, as many land as possible, as many properties as possible. Yeah, in Africa, you can be able to own them. Nobody will ask you a question. Nobody will tell you anything because it is the right and it is in the constitution for people and citizens to own property. Okay? Now, you can not only be able to own them, but you can be able to own them at a very cheaper price. The money you are owing, like you earning in America, is one of the salaries, like the lowest, the average earners in America, when they come to Africa, they will be, they will automatically be counted amongst the highest earners in Africa because of the currency and all that. And it is even also applied in the properties that are being bought and all that. So what we are supposed to do is to first of all have an experience of Africa and how it looks like. Africa is not that full. When you walk in Africa, you'll realize that there are many empty lands in Africa. There are many places in Africa where they have not yet been occupied, where people have not yet occupied those places. And when you come there, you'll be able to find these places, you'll be able to find these lands, you'll be able to find these properties at a cheaper price. You can be able to own them, you can be able to have them as African Americans. So when you come back to Africa, it means, number one, as much as we're talking about the unity of black people coming back together, as much as we're talking about African Americans and black people coming back to the motherland, as much as we're talking about them reuniting, them coming and seeing their roots, where they're coming from and all that, we also have another benefit. This other benefit is the owning of properties, is being richer and being better. Because these lands that are empty in Africa, these are the lands that white people, they come in Africa, they take over them. They start cultivating on them. They start staying there and living there. I've gone to some empty lands, the plots that are being sold here in Africa, and I've seen white people coming there, living there and all that. And yet they're telling African Americans that when you go back to Africa, it is very dangerous. It's not safe in Africa. Africa is not a place that you need to go and live there. Yet they themselves, they're living in those places. They're staying in those places. They're sitting in those places. But when they come to you, they'll begin telling you, these places are not good for you. These places do not look better. Yeah? Have you seen white people coming to Africa for tourism? They come just to walk around, see the beauty of Africa, see how Africa looks like, the animals, they go to wildlife, they go to green pastures, they go to valleys, rift valleys, and they go to mountains, they go to lakes. It is because these people, these things, they cannot be able to find them in the United States of America or in Europe countries. But they can only be able to be found in Africa, especially naturally. Yeah? And therefore, they are coming to Africa. But they will tell you that when you go to Africa, it is dangerous. It is a place where you're not supposed to live. Africa, there is poverty. In Africa, there is anger and all that. But go around. White people are buying lands in Africa. Why are they buying lands in Africa? If Africa is really poor, if Africa is really not a land where you're supposed to go or a place where you're supposed to go, why do they come and buy lands in Africa? We were walking around and we saw people somewhere in Africa. Yeah, they were white people. They came to Africa. They bought lands. They were living there. They were staying there. And I felt like what they're doing is not good, because you telling someone who's an African American not to come back to Africa, and yet you can be able to come back to Africa and live in that African country better, live in that African country safely, it is something really that does not give happiness. Yeah. So do not follow what you're being told by somebody else who is not an African, who isn't black. Follow what black people like you, what your brothers and sisters are telling you. When you come to Africa, you can be able to buy land, you can be able to own property, you can be able to own a business, and nobody will ask you a question. In fact, people will be coming to you. And I see Africans and black people in Africa feeling very happy and joyful when they see white people. When they walk around them, they feel so good. They feel like we want to talk to these people. We want to associate ourselves with these people. So African Americans, stop all these things of thinking that Africa looks bad, or in Africa there is problems, or when you come to Africa you're likely to find a problem or something like that. Come to Africa, own properties. Lands are cheap in Africa. Your average money you're getting in the United States of America as salary and all that, when you come back to Africa, after a little savings from the US and come back to Africa, you are likely to find property to live a better life in Africa, a life of those people who are one of the high-class people who are living in Africa. So I urge everybody, it is my prayer and it is my my happiness to see African Americans coming back to Africa and taking over these lands that are in Africa and occupying these lands that are in Africa, than white people coming to Africa and occupying these lands that are in Africa. If that starts to happen, I will have this mind and I will have hopes that now it is very easy, and revolution and liberation of Africa is very, very near. Tell me what you think on the comment section about it. I'll do my best to make sure I read the comments and give a response where possible. I am Atamba Haiti. This is the African Streamline. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to actually press the notification bell. Be the first person to get every content as it comes in. For the returning subscribers, I salute you. If it's your first time to be here, please kindly, wherever you are, do not forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, and I love you all. God bless.